microphone.
Might proceed, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Deputy Luhan. Would you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Deputy Joseph Luhan, Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
Would you pull that microphone a little bit closer to you, sir? Thank you. How are you employed?
With the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department.
And how long have you been with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department?
A little over 10 years now.
And what are your duties?
I'm assigned to the Court Services Division.
And how long have you been assigned to the Court Services Division?
About 10 months now, I believe.
And prior to that, where were you assigned?
I was on the Patrol Division.
And what does a patrol division do?
We answer calls throughout the county, anything from DWI, crash investigations, criminal investigations, that type of thing.
Were you on duty on October 21st, 2021?
Yes, it was.
And do you recall what you were assigned to do that day?
Just normal patrol duties.
And were you involved in the investigation into a shooting that occurred at the Bonanza Creek Ranch?
Yes, it was.
And what role did you play in that investigation?
Deputy or Sheriff's Office personnel had already been dispatched to the scene at the movie set. Lieutenant Benavidez advised that one of the persons shot was being transported to the hospital and requested a deputy respond to the hospital as well.
Which hospital?
The St. Vincent's Hospital here in Santa Fe.
Okay. And was that deputy you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall approximately what time you were dispatched or you went to the hospital?
It was a little bit after 2 o'clock.
And once you arrived at the hospital, where did you go?
I arrived to the emergency room.
And why did you go to the emergency room?
We had been notified, or I had been notified through dispatch that the ambulance was transporting that subject to the emergency room.
And so once you were in the ER, did you go into a room or did you wait in the lobby? What did you do?
I arrived at the one of the trauma rooms that's there at the hospital.
Okay. What did you observe when you walked into the trauma room?
A gentleman sitting on or laying on like a gurney hospital bed type thing in the upright position. He had an approximate half-inch hole to, I believe it was the right side of his shoulder.
Do you remember his name?
Yes, it was Mr. Joel Souza.
Okay. And what did you do next?
I briefly made contact with Mr. Souza in an attempt to collect preliminary facts surrounding what had occurred.
Okay. And we're not going to talk about what Mr. Souza told you, but after you spoke with Mr. Souza, what did you do?
I observed medical doctors administer some sort of medication to him, and then they retrieved a projectile from his shoulder.
Okay. Were you watching this as it was taking place?
Yes, it was.
So did you watch doctors retrieve that projectile from his shoulder?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to that projectile once it was taken out of Mr. Souza's shoulder?
It was placed into a plastic container. It was handed to me, and I kept possession of it.
Okay. And where did you take it?
It was in my possession until Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office investigators arrived, at which point I transferred it. I gave it to them.
Do you recall who you gave it to?
Yes, Miss Marissa Pop. I can't pronounce her last
Popple?
name. Yes, ma'am.
And who is she?
She is an evidence tech, crime scene tech with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 14. May I approach you?
Yeah. No objection, Your Honor.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 14?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
That was the projectile that was retrieved by medical staff at the hospital out of Mr. Joel Souza.
Does Exhibit 14 appear to be in the same condition it was in when it was given to you by doctors?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the state would move into evidence State's Exhibit 14.
Yes, may follow, sir.
Thank you. So after you provided this to the crime scene technician, did you have any other involvement in this investigation?
Other than just writing a report, and that was it.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? I have nothing further. Thank you, Deputy.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. You were the first member of law enforcement to meet with Mr. Souza, the director of the film, afterwards, right?
I believe so, at the hospital, yes, sir.
Right. And I think you told the prosecutor you briefly made contact with him to get some preliminary facts?
Yes, sir.
And he was willing to speak to you, right?
Yes, sir.
And he never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, did he?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Not hearsay. Never once mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct?
Objection, hearsay.
All right, I don't think that, no, I'm going to overrule.
He never, in describing the preliminary facts to you, ever mentioned Alec Baldwin, correct?
Correct.
No further questions for this witness?
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You're excused.
The state calls Marissa Popple. Yeah, she took it. Okay.
Face the judge, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Have a seat, talk into the microphone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your name for the record.
Marissa Popple,
Would you spell your last name?
Poppell.
How are you currently employed?
I'm a crime scene technician with Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you held that position?
3 years.
Prior to being the crime scene technician for Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, were you a crime scene technician elsewhere?
Yes.
Well, where was that?
With the Fort Myers Police Department in Fort Myers, Florida.
And how long did you do crime scene technician work in Florida?
4 years.
And can you briefly describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a crime scene technician does?
Yes, as a crime scene technician, I respond to all sorts of different scenes, whether they're death investigations, burglaries, robberies, whenever there's an abundance of evidence or an abundance of documentation that's needed. I take photographs of the scenes, of the evidence, I collect the evidence, and then I package it at our office.
And do you ever send any of the evidence that you collect somewhere else for additional testing?
Yes.
And tell us, where would you send things, and give us an idea.
Sometimes things are sent to our local state lab here in Santa Fe. Sometimes they are sent to private labs, or sometimes they are sent to the FBI if they're working with us.
Why would you send things to any of those places?
So our state lab is local, so it's nice to be able to have them in the backyard so that they can help us with more common day items. For independent labs, if we have something that needs done within a very quick time frame, we'll utilize them, but they require us to pay for the testing ourselves. Or if the FBI is assisting with us, sometimes they can do additional testing that maybe our local lab wouldn't be able to do.
I want you